Let's talk about some underrated films from famous directors that I really enjoy watching. And I think some of them is their best work. And I feel like they don't get as much acclaim as they should. So, first one on the list is Boy, directed by Taika Waititi. Boy is such a beautiful film about a Maori kid growing up in rural New Zealand. When his estranged father comes back to find money he hid years and years ago, this film is a beautiful story about the roles of families, the complicated relationships that we have, and is really touching, and I think is some of his best work. It has all the Taika Waititi funny tropes that you tend to expect from him, but also I think is maybe his most serious film to date. And I love how the film tells the story from the perspective of Boy, and it's a great film. Just go check it out. Go check it out. Up next is Isle of Dogs, directed by Wes Anderson. I feel like this movie came out and didn't make as big of a splash as it maybe should have. It wasn't a wide release picture, it was a limited release, so I guess I kind of understand that. But there's so many good films that come out under a limited release. So with this film being a limited release, I feel like a lot of people miss out on it. And I think it's one of Wes Anderson's best. I like it maybe just as much as Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is his other stop motion animation film. And this film has a lot of heart. The cast is incredible. It's that classic Wes Anderson humor and aesthetic. And if that's for you, I feel like definitely check it out. So, moving on to the next one. The next one is Enemy, directed by Denis Villeneuve. Enemy is starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and this film is directed by Denis Villeneuve. And this is kind of in the middle of his rise to fame with Arrival and Incendies and Sicario and all those fantastic films. This film kind of gets overlooked. It's a very low budget film. It's a very interpersonal conflict and kind of a psychological examination of the main character played by Jake Gyllenhaal. The movie is about a man who discovers an actor in a VHS tape that looks exactly like him, and he goes to track down this guy to find out, what's going on. And it's super interesting. It's set in Toronto, which is fantastic, and Toronto plays itself. You get to see all the streetcars and all these locations that I walk by every day, and so it was a really cool experience. It's a good mystery, so definitely recommend it. Next up is Bridge of Spies, directed by Steven Spielberg. This film really warmed my history buff heart. It's about an American lawyer that is brought in to negotiate a deal with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. It's intense, the acting's incredible. Tom Hanks and Mark Rylance, they're both great in the film. If you like history, if you like Cold War era, if you like intense kind of political thrillers, I think this is a fantastic movie, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't yet. Next up is Frances Ha, directed by the great Noah Baumbach. Noah Baumbach has kind of come into the mainstream with his next Netflix films, and for good reason. He's a fantastic writer. His characters have their own very particular way of speaking, and his stories are very down-to-earth, real life, deal with a lot of the awkwardness of just being human, and Frances Ha is no exception. It's about a dancer played by Greta Gerwig who lives in New York and tries to navigate all the intricacies of being a dancer in New York. Greta Gerwig does the Greta Gerwig thing, and I'm a fan of it. I think she's funny. I always enjoy her being on screen. If that's what you're into, then this is a great film for you. If you're just familiar with maybe Marriage Story and the Meyerowitz stories, I think this is a really good other stepping stone for the Noah Baumbach films. So check out this one, it's a good time. And finally, I'm going to talk about Inside Llewyn Davis by the Coen brothers. I feel like a lot of people love or hate this film. I personally love this film so much. It helped me process a weird time in my life because this film is weird in the way it processes sadness and frustration and feeling like you're stuck in life. And I feel like if you kind of been in that kind of mindset before, this film will definitely resonate with you. Oscar Isaac is fantastic. I always think he's so good in roles. He plays a New York City musician trying to make it in the folk scene. The music in this film is absolutely incredible. Oscar Isaac absolutely kills it going around the country with this tiny Gibson L1 Blues King. And if you know, you know. It has all of the kind of weirdness and darkness of a Coen Brothers film. To me, it's just so good. It's so good. People rank it way too low on the Coen Brothers list to the point where I think people might skip it over. So don't skip it over. Make up your own mind about this film. To me, it's definitely one of my favorite music-related movies, and I think everybody should check it out. So, if you want me to make another list, if you have any ideas, leave it in the comment section. If you agree with some of my picks, leave that too. Or if you disagree or think of other films that have been skipped over by famous directors that a lot of people should check out, please leave it in the comment section. And that's about it for me. I'll see you on Tuesday.